here for is part 2 of curating the best shelves for me. If you haven't seen my first video of this series, go watch that. I kind of explain things. Basically what I'm trying to do is only have books on my shelf that I actually really want to read, not ones that I got because they were popular, because I saw one of my favorite booktubers haul it. You can go to the first video where I did the very top of my shelves, which were non-fiction, sci-fi, retellings, and comics and manga. And now what we're going to do is my contemporary shelf is this whole one here, and then a teeny tiny bit just here. And then we're also going to do my classics, which I've just taken off the windowsill and put right there. They're all in one little basket, so I will do that in a moment. But for now, contemporary. The goal is to take everything off of this shelf and then figure out what do I automatically want to put back because I know I want to read it. And then from the pile that's left, I could put it into categories of heard about it on YouTube, or it was really popular, or I bought it just because, or I've read from the author before, or we'll see what categories come out of this. I would really, ideally, I would like to get this down to just this shelf and not take up what is right here, because I always like my red shelf and my TBR shelf to be separate. But I have a lot of books on the TBR shelf, so they kind of runneth over sometimes, unfortunately. So I'm trying to get all of the books on here and only keep books that I'm genuinely interested in. Now what I do with the books that I'm not interested in, or that don't give me maximum riz, is I kind of have two piles. I have one pile where I'm like, I can definitely unhaul these books. I don't really want them in my life anymore. And I have another pile of maybes, in a way. Books where I'm not ready to unhaul them, but having them on my shelf doesn't fill me with a real great joy to want to read them. But there's a chance I could want to read them, so I kind of keep them. I keep them in a bag, but not in an unhaul. But the point of this video series isn't to unhaul books. It's not about having any kind of negative connotation towards these books. It's really just about figuring out what books work for me. Let's start pulling things off shelves. All of the books. I can just turn you there. There's a big pile. And then all of those as well. Okay, first two piles are I heard about them on BookTube. All of these, and then all of these. Okay, here's the thing. I soft DNF'd You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thau. I was reading it and I was like, this isn't the time for me to be reading it, but everyone seems to love it. So I think this is going to be on like my maybe pile. Okay, so I have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This is again a weird one where it's like, technically this isn't giving me maximum riz, but I want to give it a go because everyone seems to love it. So I'll keep it. Okay, another three I know I'm keeping for sure. And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Frederick Bachman. This is gonna destroy me, and I'm weirdly looking forward to that. The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa. I have this weird obsession with cats lately, so interested in this. And then Moxie by Jennifer Theo. I always want to read about badass females, so can I read this? I think I'll keep Slay by Brittany Morris. I am intrigued enough to keep this on my shelves. And now I'm left with all these, and I'm not sure. I'm gonna put these on pause just for a second. We might go through some other books first. Okay, now here are some books that they're not going on my shelves. These are ones that were behind all the other books. I am keeping these for childhood nostalgia. So I have book 5 and 6 in the Fame School series by Cindy Jeffries. I know I read the first 4 when I was younger, but I found these 2 at an op shop and I was like, oh my god, I was obsessed with that series as a kid. I bought them. I would like to own all of them just for like pure nostalgia, and I might reread them one day. And then then the Summer Boys series by Hayley Abbott. I have the first 4. I only read the first 2, but those first 2 were the only books I read consistently for 3 years. So I can pretty much remember almost everything that happens in Summer Boys. These are not my type of books anymore. They don't bring me any kind of riz, but nostalgia, so they're gonna stay. Okay, so without even reading the backs, I have 4 that I know I want to keep. So we have A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahereh Mafi. I only recently hauled this, but it feels like that hard-hitting contemporary that I'm interested in. If you want to see what I'm interested in books-wise, check out my 5-star audit video that I recently did. Then I have Well Travelled by Jen DeLuca. This is the 4th book in the Well Met series. I love this series. Well Met was my favourite book of 2022. I have read the other 3. This is the next one I need to read. It only recently came out. I'm very excited for this. Then I have Wildfire by Rodman Philbrick. I love a good survival story, and this is about kids in a fire, so I'm very interested in reading this. Speaking of survival stories, we have Gold of the Gods by Bear Grylls. I don't know, apparently this is really good, and it's just a middle grade survivalist story, which I quite enjoy, so there's that. Okay, now it's time to read the back of some books. Okay, I've just gone through the hardbacks. Okay, there were 7 hardbacks. I'm keeping 4. 1's a maybe, and 2 are going bye-bye. So, the ones I'm keeping. The Sunday Birds by Sally J. Pla. This sounds mildly interesting. I'm gonna give that a chance. Everything Under by Daisy Johnson. Again, mildly interesting. This sounds weird, which is my kind of thing. The Notations of Cooper Cameron by Jane O'Reilly. 1, this cover is gorgeous. 2, this sounds like this kid has developed some kind of neurodivergency, and it talks about grief, and that is interesting to me. Then we have Reality Boy by A.S. King. I honestly never knew what this was about at all. I just saw it on Books and Lala's channel, and I was like, yeah, I will pick that up when I see it. And then I actually just read the synopsis, and I was like, that's actually interesting. I usually don't care about like famous type books, but this one sounds interesting because it's like this kid that used to be on like reality TV and everyone's just waiting for him to snap. Then the maybe book is Grace by Paul Lynch. This is kind of a survival story, but I'm a little confused on what it's actually about, so that's why it's a maybe. And then the 2 that I'm getting rid of. The Secret Diary of Lizzie Bennett by Bernie Sue and Kate Rorick. This is like YouTube teenager drama thing. I don't care. And then Swim That Rock by John Rocco and Jay Primiano. This is a very middle grade fisherman story. It just doesn't particularly sound like my thing. Get rid of those 2. Do I have a get rid of pile? No, I don't. These are the first in my get rid of pile. Okay, the next pile that I went through was I've seen on BookTube or are really popular. The results are interesting. Okay, let's go through the maybes first. So the maybes are The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Gu. I do want to try a Maureen Gu, so that's why I left it on here, but the content doesn't sound particularly interesting. And then The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. The part about it being like a amusement park, that is kind of the thing that's keeping me mildly interested. 2 maybes. And then for the yes, I'm keeping them, we have The Explorer by Catherine Rundell. It's a survivalist story, so I'm keeping that. And then A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman. It got me with the unkempt cats. Keeping those 2. And then you want the ones that I'm getting rid of? All these. Okay, so we have I Love You, Michael Collins by Lauren Barrett's Lodgestead. I thought it sounded interesting because of the whole like 1969 moon landing thing, but it's not actually that interesting. To me, it sounds like it's a great story, just not for me. We have Speak by Laurie Halsey Anderson. I never should have bought this in the first place because, yes, this is hard-hitting contemporary, so you'd think I'd like it, but the content of this book is something that really triggers me, and I cannot, no matter how good it might be, I don't think I'll ever be ready to read this type of story. We have The Fill-In Boyfriend by Casey West. I also love fake dating, and this is fake dating, but I don't think I want to read a Casey West. There's something about this that just feels cheesy and juvenile and like there's not enough substance. This one might be a little upsetting to some people I know, but that's Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I wanted to read this because fanfiction, I love fanfiction. I wrote some fanfiction and no, you will not find it. At least I really hope so. But I don't think I actually want to read it. Like, I've read the Simon Snow series, but I don't think I want to read where it started from. Then we have Kind of a Big Deal by Shannon Hale. I did want to read this because it's about a girl going into many books. It actually doesn't sound that interesting. It's not bringing in that same interest that it did when I bought it. Then I got 3 books in a series. I don't know which order they're in, but I know that this one is the first one. Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. I know that's the first one of like billionaire romances, potentially. I don't know. Then there's also Beautiful Boss, which is a really short one, and Beautiful Player. I'm gonna get rid of all these 3 because, I mean, the only reason I picked them up was because apparently they're steamy. I don't think I actually like Christina Lauren's writing, and yeah, I don't know, they just like... And then the last one, which I never knew if I should have put this on my classics shelf or not, that is The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I know this is like wildly popular and all that, but I don't care. I only bought it because it's one of those books that like everyone's read. I don't think this is my thing at all. I don't care about the time period. I don't super care about what's happening. I mean, I understand what's happening and that is, you know, a big important thing, but that's not the type of history that I'm interested in. So like all of these are going, and I'm actually feeling really good about that. Okay, now I've got a few piles left and I didn't really know what else kind of pile to put them in, so they're in like color order. Let's pick up some colors and read some synopses. Okay, so this color combination was greeny yellowy. I had 5 books, 3 I'm keeping, 2 I'm getting rid of. So the 2 I'm getting rid of are Impossible Music by Sean Williams. I don't really care about books about music. The reason I bought it was because it has a deaf main character, but the author themselves is not deaf, and if that was the only thing keeping me interested, I'd rather read a book from an author who is deaf. And also just I don't really care about music. And then the other one I'm getting rid of is For the Forest of a Bird by Sue Saliba. This just, I don't know what it's about. I bought it on a whim and I was flipping through, kind of reading some sections, and it had an odd writing style that I just didn't gel with. And then the 3 I'm keeping is the 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayliss. This has a similar premise, almost identical premise to 10 Blind Dates, which is one of my favorite books. So I'm going to keep this because it's just someone being set up on a bunch of dates and that's always just funny. Then It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. Mental health rep, should be interesting. And then The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abby Dar. There. Girl That Was Forced to Be Silent is not. Sounds great. Okay, I'm surprisingly keeping a lot of blue books. But let's go through the ones I'm not keeping first. So we have When the Night Comes by Fawel Parrott. I got this because I read Past the Shallows by this author and I loved it, but this doesn't actually sound particularly interesting, so I'm gonna let it go. Then we have Wilderness by Roddy Doyle. I thought I would be interested in this because I thought it was like survival and there's a wolf on the cover, but it doesn't sound like my kind of thing and it sounds very juvenile, so I don't think I'd enjoy it much. Then I have one maybe, and that is The Book of Hidden Wonders by Polly Crosby. I don't know. If someone's read it, is it worth me keeping or not? Because I don't really know what it's about. And now, onto the ones I'm keeping. So I have Dumplin' by Julie Murphy. This does actually sound pretty awesome, and I'm always here for fat rep. And we have Augie and Me by R.J. Palacio. This is the bind-up collection of 3 novellas that are kind of sequels to Wonder, and I really liked Wonder, and these do sound like they would be interesting. Then The Rise of the Wolves by Kerr Thompson. I like wolves. That's all I got. Then we have The Wolf Rider by Catherine Rundell. Again, I like wolves. And then we have Hacked by Tracy Alexander. This sounds very cool. It's about hacking, so it sounds fun. Okay, onto my last stack. Okay, so the last pile of contemporary book colours was reddish, pinkish, purplish colours. I'm only getting rid of 2. So the ones I'm getting rid of are Orphans of the Carnival by Carol Birch. I always think that I would like circus stories, but I never actually read them. And yeah, if I'm not picking it up, I'm not picking it up. And then Dear Sweet Pea by Julie Murphy. I know this is part of the Dumplin universe, but I don't think I care about this one too much. And then I'm keeping all of these. So we have Bloodletting and Miraculous Cures by Vincent Lamb. I'm not super sure what it's about, but it still intrigues me. Then Too Much Lip by Melissa Lukashenko. This sounds super fun. Titus by Anita Heiss. This sounds interesting enough that I am still intrigued. The Switch by Beth O'Leary. It sounds cute, and I do like cute, wholesome stories. The Natural Way of Things by Charlotte Wood. I don't even know what this is about, but it has the potential to be creepy, so keeping it for that reason. And then The Bollywood Beauty by Selene Akhil. It's intriguing enough that I will keep it for now. So that was all of the contemporaries. I'll try and put them back on my shelf, and I'll try and do all of my classics as well. Okay, so this is the classics crate, and this is everything I'm keeping. And then these are all of the maybes. So if someone could tell me if any of these are worth reading, or even just like tell me what they're about, because not all of these actually talk about what they're about. And then these 3 are ones I'm getting rid of. I'm only getting rid of this one because I have a different edition. Getting rid of those. And then let's show you what the contemporary shelf looks like now. With Chopper's tail going. But look, I tried to do a bit of a rainbow. And yeah, so we got all them. And then this is a skeleton ashtray. That is the contemporary shelf done. And the classics kind of done.